George sat in the quiet hospital room, surrounded by the sterile smell of antiseptic and the monotonous beeping of machinery. His heart pounded in his chest as he looked at Norma, who lay unmoving on the bed, her once vibrant spirit now encased in silence. Soft light filtered through the curtains, illuminating the worried lines on her face, lines that spoke of laughter, love, and shared memories now overshadowed by uncertainty. Doctor Rachel Morales stood just outside the door, her arms crossed, her face a careful mask of professionalism. George could sense the dread in her demeanor as she prepared to deliver news he was not ready to hear. "George," she began, her voice low and steady, "I need you to know that Norma's condition is critical. We're doing everything we can, but..." Her words trailed off, leaving a gaping space filled with fear. He felt the ground shift beneath him. "What do you mean, critical?" His voice barely rose above a whisper. The world around him faded, leaving only the weight of her stillness, a stark contrast to the laughter that used to fill their lives. George's fingers threaded through hers, hoping desperately for a flicker of warmth, a sign of life. "Norma has been unresponsive for too long," Rachel continued, her eyes softening with compassion. "It's crucial that you talk to her. She can still hear you." As the reality of her words sank in, George struggled to keep himself composed. Memories descended upon him. Dancing in the kitchen, sweet nothings shared on quiet nights, the way she lit up when he sang for her. He squeezed her hand, searching for strength. "You need to come back to me, Norma. We have so much still to do together," he murmured, his voice trembling with emotion. The seconds felt like hours as he grasped her hand tighter, willing her to wake. "I love you and I need you to fight," he pleaded, his heart breaking with every thought of the life they had built together now hanging by a thread. Dr. Morales quietly stepped closer, her presence a small comfort amidst the dread. "Just speak from your heart, George. Tell her what she means to you." He nodded slowly, but words escaped him. Instead, he held her gaze, trying to reach through the silence surrounding her. "Remember those nights on the porch? The stars? We promised we'd always be together," he whispered, anguish spilling into his words. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the room, George felt the weight of despair settle around him. A mix of sorrow and curiosity began to take root. Leaving the hospital later, he walked into the crisp night air, where an unsettling question nagged at him. What other secrets had Norma kept hidden? As he drove slowly through the familiar streets, the memories they shared danced in his mind, igniting a flicker of hope against the heavy darkness. He found himself yearning to discover whatever lay beneath the surface of their shared life, the truths that might illuminate her world, and perhaps his own. What was left unsaid in their love story? With that thought guiding him, he set off into the night, seeking answers hidden in the shadows. The car rolled through the darkened streets of San Marcos, headlights cutting through the veil of night like a comforting hand guiding him home. George's thoughts were a whirlwind of memories, each scene a vibrant brushstroke on the canvas of their shared life. He shut his eyes for a brief moment, surrendering to nostalgia, feeling each memory wash over him. He remembered the first time he laid eyes on Norma at that county fair, the way she laughed, her eyes sparkling with the delight of youth. They had shared cotton candy, and as they walked hand in hand under the carnival lights, time felt infinite. The world around them faded away, and in that moment all that mattered was the connection they forged. But it wasn't just the joy that lingered in his mind, it was also the struggles they faced together. George recalled the long nights in the early days of his career, where success seemed an elusive dream. He had played dive bars, working tirelessly to make a name for himself, all while Norma kept the flame of hope alive on those hard days, always believing in him when he faltered. As he arrived home, his sanctuary wrapped in shadow, George pulled into the driveway and hung back for a moment. The house felt both achingly familiar and profoundly empty. He could picture Norma sitting on the porch, a book in hand, with a bowl of popcorn nestled in her lap, waiting for him to come home from yet another late-night gig. That image had been a constant, a beacon of their love. After stepping inside, the quietness enveloped him like a childhood blanket. As he meandered through the rooms lined with memories, his gaze caught on the attic door, the door that had always held a certain mystery. The attic had been a refuge for forgotten treasures and fragments of their shared life, and tonight it felt charged with unspoken secrets. With a deep breath, George opened the creaking door and ascended the narrow staircase. Dust particles danced in the air as his footfalls disturbed the tranquility. The attic was warm, a stark contrast to the night outside, and it smelled of aged wood and old books. He flicked on the light, illuminating boxes filled with memories that echoed their past. As he rummaged through the clutter, his heart raced with anticipation. There was an old guitar in the corner, one they had bought together in a thrift store, its strings silent, longing to be played. He smiled at the sight, memories flooding back of late-night songwriting sessions, Norma's laughter merging with the soft strumming, creating a melody that had woven their lives together. But it was a dusty cardboard box, tucked away beneath some worn blankets, that caught his eye. George pulled it closer, noticing the letters peeking out, each one carefully stacked, labeled by year, like a timeline of their lives. His heart quickened. "What have you kept from me, Norma?" he murmured, as he unwrapped the box with trembling fingers. He opened the first letter, his breath hitching as he recognized her distinctive handwriting. It was dated from a time long before their lives had taken the complicated turns they now faced. As he read, Norma's words sprang to life, revealing a side of her he felt he hardly knew. "George," it began, "if you're reading this, it means I've tried to put a piece of my heart into words for you. I want you to know that my love for you is the strongest anchor in my life. Yet there are things I've carried that I've not shared." Her vulnerable confessions spilled forth, recounting dreams she had nurtured while supporting his rising career. Travel, art, and adventure swirled in her descriptions, yearnings he had inadvertently stifled without realizing. "I wanted to see the world with you," she had written, "to experience every sunset in distant lands, to dance under foreign stars. But my heart has always told me that my place is beside you, wherever life may lead us." Each word felt like both a balm and a dagger, soothing yet painful. The reality of her sacrifices hit him hard, stirring feelings of guilt mingled with admiration. George realized how easily he had taken for granted the depth of her love, the extent of her unwavering support at the expense of her dreams. He blinked back tears and continued to read, each letter offering a glimpse into the complexities of her thoughts and emotions, capturing moments that he had never known existed. Memories of their wedding day, her dreams of opening a small gallery someday, the nights filled with hope and laughter, all painted a picture of a woman who was so much more than the woman he loved. Here was a window into her wishes, her hopes, and her hidden fears. With every letter he unfolded, George felt both connected and adrift, navigating through the vast sea of emotions that surged behind her words. "You are my soulmate, my greatest joy," one letter concluded. "But I hope you can also see me, the woman who once dreamed of the wide world and the stories I have yet to tell." Downstairs, he stared at the guitar, its strings untouched, and then back at the pile of letters. He felt a flood of emotions, hope, regret, and an insatiable longing to know the full essence of the woman who had shared her life with him. The attic had unveiled more than just her words. It offered him a chance to rediscover not only Norma, but also himself. With newfound determination, George decided to honor Norma's hidden dreams, realizing that every word he read was a piece of her, a call to not only remember, but also to embrace the love that lingered in the shadows. As the night deepened, he began to sketch melodies in his mind, each note inspired by the devotion of a woman who had painted a vibrant world, silently waiting for him to join her in it. As dawn broke, George sat at the kitchen table, clutching a cup of half-finished coffee. The letters scattered around him shimmered like treasures, their ink still resonating with Norma's essence. Each note revealed her dreams, wishes, and the depths of a love that shaped who he was. Inspiration coursed through him as he pondered what he could do to honor her. "I'll make this right, Norma," he whispered into the empty kitchen, feeling an undeniable pull towards a purpose that felt freshly ignited. It was time to transform her dreams into something tangible. Researched ideas swirled in his mind, leading him back to Dr. Morales' office. He had to speak with Rachel. As he walked into the hospital, every step felt like a leap toward the future he envisioned. But that future had to begin with collaboration, a shared vision to create something greater for Norma. "George," Rachel greeted him, sensing his newfound urgency. "Everything all right?" "I need your help," he replied, a spark of determination evident in his eyes. "I want to create an art showcase to honor Norma, something that not only celebrates her, but also raises awareness for patients like her." I want to share her story." Rachel's brow furrowed, recognizing the weight behind his words. "That's an incredible idea. We could focus on artists who have experienced similar challenges. We could use the community space here to invite the families, and art can be a powerful language." "You're right," George exclaimed, ideas flooding through his veins. "And the event can feature live music too. I want to invite artists to come and share their stories alongside hers. I want to breathe life into her memories while inspiring everyone else." As they brainstormed, George felt a cocoon of hope wrapping around him, dispersing the shadows of grief. Rachel's enthusiasm matched his, guiding their vision further as they crafted a plan. "We can launch it next month," she proposed, excitement sparking in her voice. Returning home, George picked up his guitar, the wood warm beneath his fingers as he played softly. A melody emerged, delicate yet powerful, serving as a backdrop for the burgeoning showcase. With every chord, he felt closer to Norma. Her essence lingered in every note, painting the air with warmth. Days transformed into nights as George immersed himself in planning. He spoke to local artists, shared Norma's letters, inviting them to express their own stories through their art. Their responses moved him deeply. They were not just collaborating on art. They were connecting lives, stitching together threads of shared experiences. When the event's day approached, the community space buzzed with anticipation. The walls were adorned with vibrant pieces that celebrated life's complexities, the joy, sorrow, and healing intertwining. George felt his heart race, a mix of excitement and anxiety flooding him as he prepared to share his tribute. As the crowd gathered, shadows fell across the room, but they mingled with the warmth of connection and understanding. George stepped onto the small stage, gripping the microphone tightly. He searched the sea of faces in front of him, recognizing some as friends, others as strangers, all there to honor Norma and experience her legacy. He took a deep breath as he began to strum the guitar, letting the music wash over him. The first notes filled the room, drawing everyone into his world, the world he once shared with her. "This is for you, Norma," he called out softly, allowing the sound to tumble from his heart. With each verse, George poured out his love and grief, wrapping Norma's story into the fabric of the song. Music transcended words, speaking truths neither of them had fully realized: love, loss, and the courage to face the unknown. The tears in his eyes blurred his vision, but unveiled deeper clarity, the truth that he was honoring more than her memory. He was embracing the future. As the last chord lingered in the air, the room erupted into applause, but it was not just for him. It was for a woman who had illuminated lives, who had inspired them all to see through tears and laughter the beauty in every moment. George felt the collective energy, a soothing balm over his broken heart. Slowly he stepped down from the stage, greeted with warm hugs and tender words from those he had touched with his music. They shared their own narratives, bonding over loss, and as laughter mingled with tears, George realized he was not alone anymore. The connections forged here honored Norma's dreams and opened doors to new beginnings. Standing in the gallery, enveloped in stories of resilience, he could sense her presence, proudly watching it all unfold. George had found a new path, one marked by hope and community, and the road less traveled finally felt like home. In the weeks following the gallery event, George found himself in a different rhythm of life, one that felt lighter yet profound. Each day began with music and melded into stories shared at the community center, where he organized workshops to encourage others to express their own journeys through art and song. The seeds he had planted in memory of Norma began to blossom into something deeper than he had anticipated. The memory of the gallery, echoing with laughter and shared tears, remained etched in his mind, resounding with a warmth he could now embrace. The letters she wrote remained tucked safely in his pocket, guiding him as he found his footing in this new world of connection and renewal. He felt a pull to dive deeper into the essence of who he was without her, as well as who they could have become together. One afternoon, while sipping tea on the porch, the sunset draping the horizon in colors reminiscent of Norma's laughter, George picked up his guitar. The strings felt like home beneath his fingers, begging to be played. The beginnings of a new song flowed from his heart, shaped by the gathered experiences of those he now called friends. "Where do you go when shadows fall?" he began, letting the melody carry him away. Finding light, hoping to stand tall. As he strummed, memories of Norma filled his mind, the nights spent beneath endless stars, the sound of her laughter blending with the music in his soul. He'd been afraid to create without her, yet her spirit thrummed in his fingertips, urging him forward. Those fears receded, replaced by a sense of purpose that ignited his emotions. As he poured his heart into the song, George sensed a swell of gratitude for the many lives that had intersected with his own through shared struggles and stories. He hadn't known pain could unite people, imbuing him with strength drawn from their collective spirit. He was reborn in this purpose. Each note he played became both a remembrance and a celebration. The following month brought another community gathering, and George was more prepared than he had ever been. He invited those who had participated in the workshops to showcase their talents alongside him. The concert held great significance. It was less about him and more about the cumulative experiences that had unfolded. "Gather round, everyone," George announced, heart racing with excitement as he stood before the community gathered. "Tonight we celebrate resilience, creativity, and the indomitable spirit of those we love. Tonight is about sharing our stories and healing through art." Flashes of different artists filled the stage, painters who had transformed their grief onto canvases, poets who had penned verses echoing their journeys through sorrow and hope. Each performance resonated with a collective heartbeat, creating a symphony of shared experience. When it was George's turn, he clutched the guitar like a lifeline, gazing at the faces in the crowd, a blend of friends and strangers, all connected through their love for Norma and the stories they carried. He strummed the opening chords to the song he had birthed on the porch, one inspired by his rebirth and the healing he had found through others. "This one's a little different," he began, the intimacy of vulnerability woven into his words. "It's about loss, but it's also about light, love, and embracing the journey ahead. We carry our loved ones with us, and in our hearts, they live on." As his voice soared, the audience mirrored his emotions. He felt an unchaining of souls around him, a collective acknowledgement of the struggles they had together faced. The hall filled with echoes, laughter, and even a few tears, each note weaving a tapestry of connection. "I'll find you in the dawn, where the shadows fade away in every hopeful song, in every touching ray." At that moment, the weight of loss shifted into a buoyancy of community and shared purpose. George was lifted by the energy, feeling the spirit of Norma embrace him. Each note resonated with the truth that though she was gone, through the music and the connections he forged, her heart continued to beat. As the audience erupted in applause, the energy soared, and George felt as though a chapter of his life had officially closed, only to unlock a new one. A journey marked not by grief alone, but by celebration, resilience, and hope. After the concert, audience members reached out to him with warmth and gratitude, sharing their own stories and experiences, forging bonds he hadn't expected. He was no longer simply a grieving husband. He was a catalyst for healing among many. His relationships deepened, solidifying a network of support that he didn't know he needed. Buoyed by the love surrounding him, George found purpose in the call for community and growth. He planned more events, inviting others to share their talents as they strove toward healing together. He began to see the gallery not just as a memorial to Norma, but as a space for artists, lovers, families, and friends to cultivate a shared legacy that embraced life's fragility. Through laughter, music, and countless connections, George crafted a landscape of healing within his heart. Recommendation for a gallery exhibition connected him with various art organizations, and they began to rally support for a permanent establishment in honor of those like Norma. This new venture seemed to ignite a spark within him, a vibrant tapestry awakening possibilities he had never considered. As months passed, George found a rhythm in his life, one where shadows still lurked, yet light flooded in. The rebirth he had yearned for was blossoming in unexpected ways. Love, grief, and resilience melded to create a future rich with purpose. Norma's legacy lived on, woven into every melody and story shared, lighting the path as George continued to walk toward new beginnings, where art and music intertwined, as tenderly as they always had, embracing hope and celebrating life. The sun hung high in the Texas sky, casting shadows that danced over George's driveway as he prepared for another community showcase. The day felt vibrant, humming with the anticipation of gathering friends, artists, and families united by the spirit of creation. The excitement crackled in the air, a reflection of the transformation he had undergone since Norma's passing. As George set up, he reflected on how far he had come. Each event had cultivated a community where stories intertwined and healing flourished. The gallery had become a sanctuary for the artists. It served as a canvas for creativity where souls painted their truths. George felt grateful for the connections blossoming around the legacy of Norma, yet he also carried an undercurrent of unease. With newfound purpose came fear. Fear of losing this momentum, fear of stepping onto paths he hadn't explored. Before the event began, George wandered for a moment, taking in the familiar sights of the community space. The vibrant paintings lined the walls, each brushstroke echoing stories of heartbreak, hope, and resilience. He was thankful that he had a place to honor those like Norma, yet a nagging question drifted through his mind. What would happen when the dust settled? What lay beyond this chapter? Gathering his thoughts, George joined the group of artists who were arriving. Each person wore an expression of excitement and nervous anticipation. "You all ready for tonight?" he asked, a warm smile spreading across his face. "More than ready," replied Mia, a young painter whose work captured the beauty of nature through vivid colors. "I can't believe we get to share this with so many people." "Hope they like my poems," Ben chimed in, rubbing his palms together nervously. "I'm still tweaking a few lines." "You'll be great, Ben," George encouraged, trying to alleviate the anxiety lingering in the air. "Remember, this is about sharing our stories. We're all in this together." As event time approached, George felt a familiar mixture of excitement and nerves ripple through him. It wasn't just about showcasing talent anymore. It had evolved into something profound, a celebration of spirit and human connection. He climbed onto the stage, greeted by the warm gaze of familiar faces. "Welcome, everyone," George began, his heart racing with emotion. "Tonight we not only celebrate art, we celebrate dreams that resonate, stories that bond us together, and the light we carry even in the face of darkness." Applause filled the space, and George felt the energy of the room flow through him. He invited artists to share one by one, their voices weaving an intricate tapestry of experience. Mia presented her captivating forest landscape, sharing her journey of finding solace in nature after losing her sister. Ben recited heartfelt poetry about navigating grief, the endurance to keep going even when the weight felt unbearable, and each story lit the room brighter. When it was George's turn, he stepped back onto the stage, the guitar now feeling like an extension of himself. "I want to share a song that came from all of you, your strength, your hope. It's called Beneath the Surface." He began to strum, letting the music pulse through him as he sang lyrics inspired by his community's resilience. The room descended into a hush, every note carrying the weight of collective heartbeats. George poured his soul into the performance, embracing the memories of love and loss associated with every chord. As the last note lingered in the stillness, the crowd erupted with applause, but this time it felt different. It was a chorus of understanding, a united front of souls standing together against life's unpredictability. But amidst the joy, George felt a familiar tug of longing. His gaze drifted toward the empty seat, Norma's seat. The silence enveloped him, and tears stung his eyes momentarily. He remembered the days when they would create together, the quiet evenings filled with laughter and dreams. Would he ever feel that complete again? After the event, George found a quiet corner off to the side, his mind churning with mixed emotions. Rachel approached, sensing the shift. "Hey, you did great tonight," she said, her warm smile illuminating the backdrop of chatter and laughter. "Thanks, Rachel." He hesitated, wrestling with his thoughts. "I feel like I'm on the brink of something big, but I can't shake this emptiness inside. I thought it would get easier." She nodded knowingly. "It's okay to feel that way. Change is hard, especially when you're building something that's rooted in loss. You'll have new experiences, but the past will always be a part of you. Sometimes it feels heavy, you know," he admitted, glancing around at the vibrant conversations unfolding. "I want to keep moving forward, but part of me wishes I could just bring her back into all this. Maybe it's about integrating her memory into your new journey," Rachel suggested gently. "You're carrying her spirit with you through this art, through the connections you're helping to create. You can honor her every day. It's not about forgetting. It's about transforming that love into something beautiful." Her words resonated within him, like a soft echo of hope. Perhaps the journey was more about the evolution of love than erasing the past. In embracing the memories of his past with Norma, he could craft a legacy filled with light for himself and others. In that moment of clarity, a spark ignited within George. A new idea took root. What if he focused not just on local artists, but on expanding this vision into a broader movement that reached beyond their town? He imagined hosting events outside the gallery, collaborating with artists nationwide to share their stories and bring awareness to the medical challenges faced by families. "Rachel," he said with renewed energy, "what if we took this further? What if we created a festival to celebrate these stories? We could reach out to artists across the country, hold workshops and performances, and evolve into something that honors not just Norma, but everyone who has lost someone dear." Her eyes widened in excitement. "That sounds amazing, George. We can start planning right away. You'll be surprised at how an idea like this can unite so many people." Fueled by this vision, George stepped back into the gathering space, taking in the crowd buzzing with joy, a blend of new friends and old memories colliding in harmony. Hope bloomed, radiating from every conversation, every shared laugh, drenching him in warmth. "I'm ready," he thought to himself, ready to walk into the unknown and embrace whatever lies ahead. As he surveyed the room, George felt Norma's presence enveloping him like a warm embrace, guiding him forward as he took the first steps down a path yet uncharted, where art and healing intertwined, a promise to keep her spirit alive and carry the legacy of love and connection to a world waiting to be inspired. Weeks passed as George, alongside Rachel and a small team of enthusiastic volunteers, set the wheels in motion for the festival. They met in the community center, their discussions filled with inspiration, laughter, and occasional bursts of excitement. Plans began to take shape, brainstorming names, themes, and logistics for what would be a monumental event, a gathering of artists, families, and friends united by their shared experiences. "Let's call it Art and Heart, celebrating lives through creativity," suggested Mia, her face bright with enthusiasm. "It captures everything we're trying to do." "Perfect," Rachel agreed, taking notes. "We can create an inclusive space where people can share their stories and talents, from music and painting to writing and dance." As they mapped out the schedule, excitement built among the team. They decided to incorporate workshops, panel discussions, and performances, allowing artists to connect deeply with attendees and foster conversations about grief, loss, and the healing power of art. George eagerly reached out to performers and artists across the nation, sharing his vision and inviting them to be part of something much larger than themselves. With each response he received, the excitement from artists eager to share their talents and the families who wanted to honor loved ones, George felt the weight shift. The impending festival was more than just a remembrance for him. It was a reminder of the strength that arises from community. It embodied promise, allowing hope to blossom within the shared tapestry of stories. As the festival date approached, preparations became ever more intense. Posters went up around town. Community members volunteered their time, crafting decorations and organizing logistics. George's heart swelled with pride as the space transformed into a vibrant expression of the intersection between art and emotion. Twinkling lights framed the gallery entrance, colorful banners adorned the walls, and the air hummed with anticipation. Yet amidst the hustle and bustle, George fought back familiar waves of anxiety. What if no one shows up? What if the stories don't resonate? He relayed these concerns during a quiet moment to Rachel. "George, this is bigger than numbers," she assured, placing a steadying hand on his shoulder. "What matters is the connections we'll make. Each artist has their own story, and each person who walks in will take something unique away. We're building a community platform about shared experiences and healing." She was right, he reminded himself. This festival was an opportunity to share love and vulnerability that transcended loss. Finally, the day arrived, the sun shining brightly as the festival unfolded. Families and friends began to gather, drawn together by the promise of creativity and connection. George stood at the entrance, welcoming each individual with smiles. The warmth in their voices and the gratitude in their eyes ignited energy within him. "Welcome. Come join us. There's art, music, and stories to share." He greeted each person, extending a hand and inviting them into the space. Inside, artists showcased their work, paintings capturing the beauty of emotions, sculptures representing transition, and photographs that told stories of resilience. Each piece served as a tribute to those lost and the celebration of life itself. The gallery buzzed with energy as visitors engaged with the art, sharing laughter and stories. Amid the art, George took a moment to step away from the crowd, standing in front of one of Norma's favorite pieces, a vibrant painting of the sunset she had created years ago. The colors danced on the canvas, mirroring the emotions swirling in his heart. She would have loved this. With tears glistening in his eyes, George felt a comforting warmth wrap around him. In that fleeting moment, he whispered, "I hope I'm making you proud, Norma." As the festival reached its midpoint, it was time for the first panel discussion. George joined local artists on stage, welcoming the crowd and encouraging open dialogue centered on the theme of resilience through creativity. The panelists shared their journeys through loss, emphasizing how art became a catalyst for their healing. "Art can bridge the gap between feelings that often feel too big to express," one artist shared. "It can illuminate paths we never thought we would take." Exploring this insight sparked conversations around the room. Audience members were invited to share their own stories. Some spoke of lost loved ones, while others talked about overcoming personal battles. Listening to these heartfelt confessions, George felt the power of vulnerability taken to new heights. The room pulsed with resonance, each shared story creating a string of connection that could never be severed. After the panel discussion, it was time for music, an open mic session that invited attendees to share their songs and poetry. George stepped up to the microphone, the guitar resting comfortably in his hands, and as he strummed the intro chords of "Beneath the Surface," he surveyed the crowd, faces bright with emotion, ready to connect through song. He sang with passion, pouring every ounce of his heart into the performance. The lyrics flowed from his soul, weaving through the air, resonating with shared pain and hope. As the last note clung in the silence, the audience erupted in applause, but it was the sweeping emotions in the air that touched him the most. Families were embracing, eyes glistening with tears and smiles. After his performance, George stepped down from the stage, and the community surged around him with warm embraces and kind words. This was the moment he had dreamed of, a space where hearts entwined and stories interlinked, transcending grief. "How can I help?" a stranger asked, referencing the impact of the festival. "I want to keep this going," George replied, exhilarated. "This needs to expand beyond this day." As the festival wore on, George realized there was a sense of belonging he had never felt before. He moved amidst the crowd, taking in the laughter, the art, and the connections forming. He knew that through art and storytelling, they were creating a legacy that extended far beyond his own pain and loss. When evening fell and the stars began to illuminate the night sky, George stood back, looking at the gathering filled with friends, families, and strangers. The warmth radiating from the embrace of community enveloped him, and he thought he had never felt so alive. Now, he could see the road ahead, a path that shimmered with promise, innovation, and healing. The sun setting echoed the beauty of the moment, the past, present, and future intertwined in a cosmic embrace. And in that serene silence, he felt Norma close, empowering him to continue forging a legacy of love, art, and connection, one that would illuminate the path for many who would follow. As the final notes of the festival lingered in the cool night air, George looked out at the smiling faces around him. The event had become a powerful testament to the strength of community and shared stories. The stars twinkled above, echoing the hope ignited in the hearts of attendees. Yet alongside the joy, a weight of responsibility settled in his heart. "This gathering is just the beginning," George reflected, conscious of the connections forged, the stories shared, and the impact made that day. With renewed determination, he resolved to solidify this legacy of love and creativity that would continue to inspire those grappling with loss. In the weeks that followed, George collaborated with Rachel and a dedicated group to turn their vision into reality, a series of workshops and events that would offer ongoing support for artists and families. "What if we provided continuous opportunities for healing and creativity?" George suggested in their meetings. "We can connect with local schools, community centers, and art organizations to build something sustainable." Rachel nodded. "That's brilliant. We can partner with mental health professionals to provide resources and ensure everyone feels supported. This isn't just about art, it's about healing together." With their vision set, George began reaching out to local artists, schools, and potential sponsors, eager to expand their reach. Funding came pouring in from local businesses eager to support the cause, turning their dream into a tangible plan. As the calendar filled up with workshops, performances, and creative meetups, George felt the community pulse with life. Local artists, friends, and even new faces met regularly, bonding over art and shared experiences. Each person's story added depth to the tapestry they were weaving together. A vibrant culture of resilience flourished before his very eyes. One sunny afternoon at a favorite cafe, a shy writer named Clara recited her poem, her voice trembling but pure. The room fell silent, captivated by her heartfelt expression of loss and love. When she finished, the silence broke into warm applause, and George felt a swell of pride wash over him. "Your voice matters here, Clara." "You're not alone," he said, offering her encouragement. The gathering continued with laughter and stories, revealing a newfound camaraderie among the participants. George witnessed how their experiences, when shared, offered solace to others, how love and creativity could blossom even from the roots of grief. As the months went by, the series of events took off, culminating in a renaming ceremony for the gallery in Norma's honor. Stepping before the crowd on the unveiling day, George felt a rush of gratitude. "Today we honor Norma, whose spirit inspired this space," he said. "This gallery is a community for creativity and healing, a safe haven for each story." Light applause rippled through the audience, warm with shared emotion. The new name, Norma's Place, signified a commitment to nurturing connections and creativity. After the launch, George stood outside, contemplating the engaging warmth of the community surrounding him. He felt a blend of pride and humility, acknowledging that this legacy was about more than himself. It transcended loss and became a thriving testament to love and connection. In those quiet moments beneath the vast Texas sky, George whispered a message to the stars. "Thank you, Norma. I hope I'm making you proud." As he reflected on the journey and the lives transformed, he understood that they were now curating a vibrant narrative, one that would continue to resonate within and beyond their community. With each gathering, they were shaping a future that celebrated life, embracing connections formed through their art and resilience. In that shared embrace, George saw the path unfolding ahead, filled with promise, innovation, and endless creativity, illuminating the way for many who would follow, united in strength and hope.